That intro is just too good, man. It always gets me hyped up, always gets me ready for the show. And thank goodness it got me hyped up for this particular show, because H2O and Hookahs is the first match of the day. My name is Pavlos, also known as X-Warrior Krema, by my side, of course, for the series, as you already heard from the SideQuest pre-show. But we're here to talk about the specific matchup, and first of all, let's talk about H2O, Krema.
There is one thing I want to say about H2O. There's one word, Pavlos, that's Ascent. It is for some reason, the other maps that H2O play, it's always going to be fairly close. Unless it's Ascent, then they seem to stomp it. In the promotional tournament, they played against Hookahs on Ascent, winning 13-1. They played very damn well. However, in the opening game against Kova, they certainly did struggle.
So, you talk about struggle, and I think what characterizes this team for everybody that has followed the previous season is that H2O struggled massively throughout the entirety of the previous one, right? They didn't manage to get a single victory the entire season, not one. So there's a sting, right, when you mention this name, when you mention H2O.
Yeah.
But obviously they're looking for redemption. This squad is not looking nothing like they looked like before. They had to lose their squad because they had to lose the spots, obviously, due to relegation, but they found their way back, led by Jaff, who's the only remaining player of the squad, together with coach Nagy also brought in. So, H2O, now with a grand opportunity, are 0-1 in standings, losing against Kova, and now have to play against their rival Hookahs, who also got relegated the previous season, and also is looking quite different themselves.
That they are, but on the topic of being in the promotional tournament, for me, being in the promotional tournament doesn't matter too much. I mean, Heat was in there, and they're currently one of the best teams in the league. However, Hookahs, they did struggle a little bit in that promotional tournament. They did have to go through the lower bracket, I believe, having lost to Heat. So they did have a tough time, but Pavlos, even against Alliance, they were able to make it look pretty damn tasty.
They really did, right? It was always a very close endeavor most of the time, and you know, the maps end 39-13-7 on Biden splits respectively. So, but they did manage to get out on top in the end, right? That was a complete Danish showdown, and I think the first one we've ever seen in Polaris, really. Because prior to that, we never had two teams that were explicitly comprised of Danish players. So now this new roster, of course, led by the David Master Mishu Akimbo side, look exactly the same, apart from the addition of Sunshine, who is replacing Yarlo. Now, Sunshine's matches with the squad during the promotional tournament were also his first officials, right? So he's literally a brand new addition to both the scene and competitive Valorant as a whole.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I want to highlight in that game against Alliance, David played out of his mind. He had an incredible performance on that chamber, and against Miller over on Alliance, honestly, David just outclassed him. It was the same story we saw from Remoy yesterday, and I'm interested to see if David can keep that consistency, because if he can, Hookahs may have found a serious weapon almost in their ranks to just send David out to kill people.
What I really like about Hookahs is their coach Enfist also. I think it's really important to make that addition, because a lot of work has been going on behind the scenes, and I think during the VCT promotion we saw an extra layer to Hookahs that we didn't quite see previously, right? And that's what you really love to see. Adaptability and trying to be ahead of the game. And getting against Alliance is no easy task. Yeah, okay, we're talking about an Alliance that it's literally their first, it's literally the debut with a specific roster. And both teams are kind of playing with a blank book, right? No sort of prep to be allowed. But the fact that you have solid fundamentals and able to kind of give your team your ABC plans throughout the game, so they're able to sort of adjust around them and always kind of be very coherent with each other with those various different plans and variations, that is what makes a good team. And Hookahs are starting to build that, which is a good sign to come.
No, you're absolutely right. And for me, now for Hookahs, it's just finding that consistency. The second they can, they're going to look really damn good. And if they do find that consistency on David, even if it is just on David, I doubt they're getting relegated this season. For H2O, there's a little bit more to play for. As you mentioned, in the games we saw them play the promotional tournament, they didn't have any fundamental problems. They weren't doing anything that screamed bad, but it was little mistakes that they were making, kind of here or there, like over-peaking and after plants, sometimes overextending a little bit too far after getting player advantage, and the issue is those turning mistakes do add up. And while they can be a little bit easier to fix, I don't know if they've had enough time to be able to fix each and every one of them before this match now.
There is a small head-to-head you did request to see, and I think it's a very interesting one, right? Yeah. So let's just bring that up so everybody can see what we're talking about. Two different players from H2O and Hookahs, of course, that have sort of now the similar role in their team, Alex and David.
No, you're absolutely right. And the reason we've asked for Alex versus David is we do have a lot of stats on David's Jet, but having recently switched to the Chamber, this is a chamber-on-chamber matchup, you could say. And what's interesting, actually, is despite the fact David was still on the Jet, it's interesting that Alex still had a higher average ACS. Granted, this is over a few less games, but again, it's all about consistency. If Alex can find that consistency, and Alex was the player I highlighted back in the promotional tournament as the inconsistent one for H2O. Luckily on H2O, now, what we found at the promotional tournament was Riyadh and Alex can be a little inconsistent. But when you have two inconsistent players, usually one of them is doing well. And so H2O seem to have found that little rhythm to it. But if Riyadh and Alex do wake up, I see some serious upsets coming out from H2O. If both of them are doing well, I want to highlight Riyadh's raise, actually. What's interesting, actually, is Riyadh is the one who goes that raise instead of Alex. When Riyadh is on that raise, and when Riyadh is doing well, they look unstoppable.
Well, that is definitely a duo that we will have our minds on. Both David and Alex, of course, we'll be looking at that very, very closely. But of course, as this match has been played before just a couple of weeks ago in the promotional tournament, we'll also be looking at the map selected. Last time around, they were Bind, Breeze, and Split, where Bind and Split went to the Hookah side, but Breeze was a 13-1 for H2O. Let's see if that is repeated, bringing over the veto graphic of this particular matchup. Let's see what these two teams are going for this time around.
Fracture, Icebox, and Split. What's interesting, actually, with the third and Decider being Split, that's the only thing that stayed the same here. Fracture, I really like, because we've seen that, we've seen how well David can do on that Chamber. We've also seen how well Alex can do on that Jet, and sometimes Chamber as well. So, with the ranges coming out from Fracture here, and with the usage of Chamber occasionally on Fracture, I would really like to see this duel happen. Icebox going to be a little bit shaky, I think, particularly from H2O, because the higher octane and kind of faster play style came back to bite them a little bit, particularly on Ascent last time they played. However, for Splits, not sure. It's going to go either way, Pavlos. This could very well be a 3-map series.
Yeah, I mean, it's no wonder Hookahs are banning the Ascent after that 13-1. They definitely want to get that out of the way. But yeah, no, I think I'm not too surprised about the Fracture pick. That's the only one. That's one of the maps that we haven't seen these two teams playing really, and it's a map where H2O was quite capable of keeping close with Kova. I'm not quite sure if we want Kova to be the threshold of what we're comparing a good team to be, right? But it seems they also had some tricks up their sleeve. What is also concerning, though, is that Hookahs, we haven't seen that. Well, we haven't seen either of the teams play Fracture when it comes to the new patch. So that's going to make things even more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely right. Pavlos, having seen the veto, are you still leaning to Hookahs, or do you think there's a chance for an H2O upset? I
think so. I think Hookahs are definitely the up and runners in this one, and I think due to the fact that every talent, every member of the broadcast talent also shares that sort of idea, it puts confidence in me. And if they do kind of lose this match, then we all are very bad at our jobs.
It's at times like this I wish to be a filthy turncoat, and I actually think H2O could upset here. I'm going to put it down now. My prediction hasn't changed, but I want to say now, I think an H2O upset would be great.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could go either way in that way, right? Because we're talking about two rival teams, right? The previous season, the bottom two of the regular season as well. The two teams that got regulated, not because of any roster changes, but because they didn't get enough wins. Hookahs, the only win they got the previous season was up against H2O. So this rivalry has really developed massively, and you can only be certain that they've been looking at each other closely and considering a dominating win in this series can build up their confidence for the following games throughout the regular season of Split 2 of VRL Polaris. We're in for a treat. They're going to be really fighting tooth and nail with this, and it's going to be a close one. So, Kremer, I also have a question for you in this one. From the matches we saw yesterday, I think we were looking at a little bit higher on the echelon of play. I think we were looking at teams that are probably contending for playoffs already, right? Do you see either of these teams fighting for playoffs this particular season?
I think it's, on paper, no. However, with the changes that have been made from both rosters, in the improvements that they've been able to do through the promotional tournament, it could be too soon to say for sure, but my knee-jerk reaction is no. However, I think that what these teams, they're not going to be a playoffs teams. Instead, they're going to be like a mine, like a sea mine, just out of the middle of nowhere. And no one's going to anticipate them. And every now and then, they're going to upset whoever rank 1 is at the time. And no one's going to see it coming, but they will. And that's how I see these teams evolving.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little bit concerned about this, though, really, because Kova, you need to remind yourself that they were able to, not Kova, Hookahs were able to get a win against Alliance, and a very good one as well, a 2-0. So, yeah, okay, Alliance are no longer the Alliance that we were talking about last season. They are a completely different roster. But still, it was a win against a very strong organization, a very strong opposition with very, very capable players. That's a little bit scary to consider that maybe now we've got another team added to this lower side of the bracket, another team that is kind of seeing if they can retain their spot in Polaris. So, yeah, a lot to consider, a lot to look at, a lot of new players and a lot of new strategies that could come out with the new patch. Honestly, this is an analyst dream. Looking at this one, there is just so many frontiers to this. But Kremer, watching these two teams sort of play already, I don't think actually we saw the particular match of H2O and Hookahs personally when we did do the promotional tournament, but we managed to see Hookahs on their own. What do you think are their win conditions for this match?
For Hookahs, for me, it's David playing well. Once he's comfortable in that chamber, then he really can be unstoppable. But I'm actually going to change that win condition a little bit, which is, I think these teams are probably going to run Fade. I'm expecting to see Fade on this fracture. So, I want to change my win condition as to, have they prepared to play against the Fade? And if so, it's going to be whether or not they've been able to prepare well enough.
I'm interested to hear why you think Fade will be picked up on this one, but I guess we might not need to check that up right away. Curveball. Yeah, it could be, but it's not.
There's a Neon, which is close enough. It's one of the newer agents. Honestly, Neon and Fade, for me, are two curveballs. Because at the moment, there are other agents that do the role they take a little bit better. But it comes down to comforts of the player. And in our interview with Yasin yesterday, he said it pretty well, which is Valorant's meta is now at a stage where there's space for you to play who you're comfortable with. Hence why we're able to see Neon over other agents. Something I do like from both teams, though, is the Brimstone Breach combo.
Yeah, a very nice combo. But I think there's a different approach in regards to how they want to be initiating their attacks on sites, right? There's Faker and us playing the K on the H2O side, and there's Akimbo playing Raze on the other. So that is a very different dynamic. We'll be looking at Akimbo trying to double blast pack his way in, brute force kind of the push, while Faker and us is more of a methodical pick, trying to disable sort of the setups of your opponents, maybe put it where you expect your opposing chamber to be, like David, for example, to deny the capability of him TPing back into safety and maybe run away with the first kill. So yeah, two very different attacking dynamics, but at first it's H2O on the attack and Hookahs on the defense.
Absolutely right. Going into this pistol round, it looks like H2O set up for what is going to be a list over to this site, where it will be the lone player of, I believe, Mast to try and stop them. A few players in Link may be able to help out in time, but Dish, for now, completely unoccupied, means that H2O are going to get very close to the safe site before contact's actually made.
The A site may not have many players defending it on this side of the site, but the rest of the entry still has 3 players very close by. Jaff having to move a little bit forwards, but it's the first shot coming through from Mark to shut down Riyadh. Oh dear! Not the best way to fall down. Mast ends up dying to the fragment, and now with a flash drive to come through, Sunshine! He gets thinked. Not the best of endeavors, but still, with the score being equalized, it's a 4-1-4, and Akimbo might be able to find the right timing onto Alex. Nothing he can do in that endeavor. Jaff! Oh, gets Hadi down from the elevated position, but Faker and Ass is in trouble. Pain Shell's not finishing the deed, 4 points of health, flashing his opposition, but missing all the shots, can't recover with a second pistol, and it's Hookahs to win off the first round.
Really clean retake, and it just comes down to trading, in which Mishu and Akimbo, really strong stuff. With a 1-0 lead, H2O, I like the mythology. I do like the idea behind just committing the majority of your force to one angle and just push it, and then just get that site as quick as humanly possible. I really like that. However, I mean, Akimbo, he just pops off, doesn't he? How can you anticipate that?
It's incredible. A little bit messy, a little bit... the fights went on everywhere, though, weren't they? I mean, it wasn't really like they had one solid idea. The fact that Hookahs also had a lot of players at the entry of the site, pretty solid. And now, a different frontier, where thankfully, unlike yesterday, H2O aren't going to be forcing. We saw too many of those second-round forces.
Yeah, we saw a lot of them as well, and I don't think we saw 4 in the game between it was the XL game, the Finest game, and they didn't work once.
No, not a single time.
Just clean up crew from here on out. Chance farm, a bit of cash, and the odd kill for H2O would be nice. They've been able to take down Akimbo. Looks like that's all they'll be able to achieve here as Alex goes on a bit of a walk to retrieve some ult orbs.
I like Sunshine getting the kills there. I think that's a really important person to get that ultimate on very early, you know. The simple A-site rolling thunder towards that direction is quite simply just extremely strong, and having a double-sided attack really crucial for these types of takes. So, yeah, Hookahs, a solid 2-0 for them.
You're absolutely right. Over on H2O, this is now where things get... this is their shot of redemption, you could say. Rifles come out on every single player. In terms of ult management, there's not much on the horizon. We are 2 away from a null command on Fake Ananas, with 2 away from a showstopper over on Akimbo. Going to be very interested to see what the follow-up will be here.
Yeah, this is a round where H2O should be finding their way back into the game, right? Should be the round where we start to see their presence appear. Otherwise, they may be in a little bit of trouble, right? It may be quite difficult for them to sort of find their way back. But David is going on a little bit of a journey here. Curious David, highlighted in the pre-game. This is one that will be contesting Alex quite a bit. Okay, scopes out.
Timing. Oh, that's so crushing. H2O going to be able to garner a bit of control without being challenged. David, he knows there's at least 2. And for H2O, they're just going to be fairly fastidious with their setup outside of B. So much so, actually, they don't even want to go to B anymore. They changed their mind, Pavlos. Instead, it will be an attempt to retake a Hulzer with Must being the player to try and stop him.
Fastidious.
Hadi has an incredible crosshair.
He does. He does. It's basically Windows of 2000. Alright. Let's see what Rhea can do here. Already aggressing. And allowing the push. But Mast hiding out within his own sky smoke will be denying that prospect. But they still are very controlling of this area. Chaff also entertaining the idea of the B push, but still 2 players holding by, and the alarms are ringing of their endeavor in the site, but it's still equally traded. We still got 3 players on either end. Alex also joining this fight. Site is handed over, but the important part is the spike hasn't crossed through. Now making its way towards the site, and now also getting planted. Sunshine, though, will be the first contender, giving information of 1, getting out of 2. They know exactly where all 3 players are, but this no command is what they need to deny the opportunity of the retake. Akimbo, accurate on the ghost, and Fake Ananas is no more. He can no longer shoot his weapon, but his still ultimate is ringing true. Akimbo again, Sunshine assists, and it's Hookahs to carry that bonus over.
Akimbo, welcome to the game, bud, with a ghost and nothing more, because professionals have standards. They completely shut down H2O there, and I mean, why get a bigger gun when a small one works just fine? Showstopper now available off the back of those heroics, and better still, that was a almost instantaneous shutdown on the null command which H2O brought out to try and force Hookahs away from that site.
A very interesting one from Hookahs. H2O not quite sure how could they play that difficulty. I think they already run out on the controller right there, right? So they no longer had the smokes from Master to assist them out into the open. Maybe they could have all taken tower control. A little bit too tough considering the rotations were quick. Yeah, quite honestly, they were in big trouble. Props to Hookahs for reading the play so quickly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And for H2O, it's just a matter now of fanning out around the map. There's a few sheriffs. There's not the best spy in the world. So it's all down to whether or not they're going to be able to isolate Hookah's player, potentially steal that rifle, pass it along to a player with armor, probably Alex, and then allow Alex to wield it. With no ults to assist them either, Hookah's now in the driver's seat.
That Viper wall, that Sage wall looks like Viper injected toxins in it, because it's very green.
That's snow you can't lick.
That is one way to call it.
Just out there for now was the Kimbo, able to find first blood.
Well, they do move away towards the other side of the map, right? H2O gaining B. Arcade control. Flash maybe to assist. Mishu, the only defender, entertaining the idea, but it seems the weapons will just be a little bit too strong here. And the jiggle peeking from H2O really not paying dividends.
30 seconds left.
Alex low, but with the potential to find a headshot. Avid denies it. Nananas, in a very lonely world with just a single point of health, won't be able to deliver any sort of damage on his end. It's Hookahs with 4 in a row.
H2O now, I won't lie, we haven't actually seen much stratagem from them, including their pistol round. A lot of this has been a matter of trying to get to a site as quick as possible, and then worry about everything else later. I would really like to see a default from them, which may allow them to just try and farm a few ults. I mean, Jaff's one away from an orbital strike. Hattie already has a rolling thunder. There's space for an execution, but right now, H2O, they're pushing sites without info, and it's coming back to bite them. Over on Hookahs, to counter this, they have that showstopper, they have that rolling thunder, more importantly, they have that tour de force on David, so even if this op has lost this round, they have something in store next, and having that economic cushion is going to embolden them to be even more aggressive.
Definitely could. Ultimates available for the Hookah side, as you said. That's going to be a buff in their confidence. And H2O in a bit of trouble. No wonder they go for the timeout. No wonder they want to breathe to kind of figure out how they kind of unravel themselves from the difficult situations they've wrapped themselves in.
You're absolutely right. And I would love to see H2O try and funnel an op onto either Alex or Riyadh as quick as possible, probably Alex. But the reality is, they just haven't had any cash yet. Hookahs have been dominant from the get-go here. And for H2O, seemed to be a lot of shuffling about before the start of this round, mainly it's going into a default, hunting for a kill here. And this is really what I want to see, Pavlos.
What's also interesting about Hookahs' position right now is that it's very, very passive on this A site. Sort of allowing H2O to use their utility. They know that the potential of catching someone off guard is there, right? You've got the fault line, you've got the dagger from Faker and Ass, and you've got Riyadh that could instantly dash in and grab that player that is isolated. So they just give them that respect and are just so quick to react to any sort of endeavor towards the other side because they've got tower control, right? Mishu also pushed up aggressively this time around. Different to how he was before, and that's going to catch Alex off guard. Riyadh pushing on site, though, will be catching one. Jaff able to bounce back against Mishu, and now the B site completely open for H2O to get that spike down.
I really like this from H2O. They slowed it down, they found where Hookahs were playing, and then isolated them. Just what they had to have done. And now the retake for Hookahs, particularly with an op, is going to be real dangerous.
Akimbo with a showstopper, rolling thunder from Sunshine, all of it can be put into play here. Fault line, Aftershock, only going to delay for a little bit. Delirious of every single corner, and it's not buying the time. Incendiary dropping. It's missed the mark, though. But they don't know that. They haven't checked that corner. They need to take these fights first. They need the kills, but without a pick, they realize their efforts may be all in vain. Having to walk away from that, Akimbo attempts to save the operator, not given the chance. H2O find their way on the board with a beautiful take and execute.
I'm surprised Sunshine didn't head back to try and retrieve the op there. Instead, David, I guess, brings out the tour de force, and it does keep the cash alive for the time being, but for H2O, that was the perfect round. Yeah, they go into a default, they trade one another beautifully, they're able to get to a site, get to an outer plant with the player advantage, and more importantly, they're able to get off the site before the retake actually gets deployed from Hookahs, which allows them to establish these crossfires, it allows them to set up, and for Hookahs, that was a little bit of a slow reaction.
I'm maybe seeing Hookahs being a little bit proactive at this time around, switching up the pace and putting them at a very difficult spot. Akimbo just catches Riyad just like that, switching things up, playing a little bit more aggressive. Assistance of the flash drive, but it's just not good enough to find the kills. Still traded though and keeps Hookahs on top as H2O need to rethink how they want to approach this round.
Yeah, absolutely right. So fake and that's pop flashes Alex in. Lovely flash there. Alex, unfortunately, able to find an opponent off the back of it. So for H2O, a player down now really needs to just probe to find a way to level the playing field.
What's their best bet at this point?
So Jaff might be it.
Smoke's down.
I could keep them in this proximity, but Hookahs confident to isolate their players. To Pasai, and Marks is doing his job. Oh, more than enough. 2 kills, simply as that. Collects it into his collection, makes it a triple. And Jaff, all on his own.
30 seconds left.
Sole proprietorship. Spike is in no man's land, really. There's nothing he can really do. It's an effort to save the weapon and maybe find some damage. No idea why he's got the knife out. Maybe he figures there's no one nearby. But you'll be mistaken there. There's a couple of players very close by. And yep, that's no Phantom for Jaff. It's Hookahs that regain the lead.
5-1 now, and we're at the stage now where Hookahs, they win the next 2-3 rounds. That's their half done. On your defense of Fracture, out of 6-7 rounds, really is quite acceptable. It may be even favourable for some teams. For H2O, they need to find a way to put the brakes on, to just yank up that handbrake, but for Hookahs, get comfortable. Because the second they get comfortable, they're going to start getting a little bit cocky, they're going to start really peeking you, and they're not going to show you any respect, something which H2O is a trap they fell into. It's the same trap they did onto H2O on a scent hit. Fast play coming out now, it's time for a quick plant.
Very fast play coming out from the B side here. Riyad pushing directly past tower, a lot of info given, and with the overdrive takes on David on that long distance position. Mishu also chimes in though, keeps things even as Alex no longer is there to defend, but they take side control and Fake Kananas will punish. 3 rifle now picked up for him, and H2O sees control. Hookahs are the ones that need to bounce back here, and Riyad is just such a big thorn. Sky Smoke's thankfully available. Sunshine with the Rolling Thunder, but uncomfortable to use it. Will be touching the spike, knowing there's the orbital strike to come through, but it's Shaft being out that Spectre and shut down Sunshine. Akimbo on a very difficult spot, looking to line up a shot, but Jaff has got the headshot, masked all that remains, but up against 3, has to be extremely accurate. Jaff out of the shadows, down Mask goes, and that is H2O back in that driver's seat.
That is brilliant ult management from H2O there. To use the null command alongside the overdrive allows you to get that site as quick as possible there, to then accompany it as well with that orbital strike. Even though it may not have necessarily been needed, it allows you to just make the round comfortable. And when you don't have cash, you want comforts. Jaff, an incredible round on his part, able to just establish 1v1s, able to take 1v1s in favourable scenarios, bringing H2O their seconds. Over on Hookahs, reinvestment comes in. There's 4 ults, bar the tour de force, ready to use it to defend against the safe push.
Oh, that's an opener. Akimbo has shown his presence. Oh, Rolling Thunder, and it's a showstopper to do it. Hookahs, once they lose a round, it seems they are that much more determined to take the next. Flash Drive is just desperately trying to seize back control, but thankfully for them, it's Shaft that got another kill. Now they may want to compose themselves a little bit, but both teams know where the next fight will commence, and Sunshine's got the right corner. May want to re-peek it, but he needs to second guess himself because Shaft has got this line this time around. Mishu in trouble. They switch up positions. They take the spawn route towards the B site and have now topsy-turvied the endeavor with giving H2O the advantage, assuming they managed to get the spike plant.
I like the fact that H2O, or Hukar, sorry, bring out that Resurrection. The second they know H2O go to the other site, it means they have space to re-equip the resurrected player of Akimbo, or of Master, sorry. And it means that for H2O, now they need to be the ones to get the first kill, otherwise this round isn't happening.
H2O need a pick. Chaff rolling Thunder. Needs to stay alive. Paddy can be a distraction. Oh, nearly flukes the first, but quickly traded. Rolling Thunder will be used. Master's also in it. Big delay. They need to act quickly, but Chaff doesn't have too much health to work with, and he won't be able to do anything about it. Thankfully for Mishu and his team, it's Master hold down the line and keep Hukars alive in that fight.
My heart does go out to Hadi there, who commits a Rolling Thunder just for Hukars to reply with a showstopper and just stop the entire push. There you go. That Rolling Thunder goes off. Instantly afterwards, everyone dies. And it's just useless. So really nice. Well, credit where credit is due. My heart does go out to Hadi. Akimbo, the reaction there to bring out the showstopper was absolutely perfect, and he knew as well that the first contact would be the Neon, who's trying to accelerate, trying to punish anyone who's playing too close to that Rolling Thunder. So really nice bit of anti-strat from Hukars, and now as they sit on 6, it's confirmed at least a draw in this half now, and they're going to start hitting that little comfort stage where they can start going for something a little bit more dangerous.
The rivalry developing here from the Hukars side. Obviously, they've got on the better of H2O pretty much every time they faced up against each other. So, yeah, it's H2O that need to prove themselves more than Hukars, obviously. Bigger changes to the roster than Hukars have posed. And this round is kind of settled down a bit, a little bit aggressive, spotting out a hand. David takes no risk. Rendezvous really as well.
Stuff.
But it's a scouting with mission.
It's a game of cat and mouse, and right now H2O, they're just probing. They destroy a bit of utility, they get back, they're throwing out the odd wall. They're just trying to see how Hukars react, and having seen that ult reveal itself, having heard 2 other players over on B, they change their minds. They head back over to A, which means it's going to be over on both Sunshine and I believe Mast to try and stop this.
Hukars have got the perfect amount of players to deal with this, and the resources.
30 seconds left.
Rolling, well, let's see what they're able to do. Rolling Thunder, Orbital Strike, so much there for them. Incendiary will delay, but they're walking past it anyway. Sunshine, though, doesn't need his ultimate if he's got his gun to shoot. Perfectly done, perfectly held. And it's Alex and Fake Ananas on a 12-second attempt. But it is a last-ditch effort. Must is there once again. Alex gets a beautiful swing on him, but it just is not good enough. As flamboyant as that kill may be, it is not a round-winning worthy moment.
I mean, even though he dies, there ain't no sunshine when he's gone, Pavlos. But I tell you what, when he's there, he absolutely eradicates H2O. Really nice bit of crossfire there between Sunshine and Must. They have each person takes the first bit of contact, then on the reaction from H2O, the second player swings out, gets the kill, and it means that Sunshine, even though their position isn't wholly protected, they are relatively in the open here. They're still able to properly swing and challenge these players because of the cover that Mast was providing.
This is starting to unfold unfavorably quite substantially for the H2O side. Ria desperate to find an advantage. They're sliding in. Well, not such a slide. It's not such a smooth slide, you know? Let's see if they can do anything about it. Yeah, no. It's the only gun they really have in their arsenal is that operator. Sheriff can hit well, but with, of course, the flashpoint to come through, it is going to make this much more difficult. There's just so much in line for Hukar to hold this back. The spike control is also theirs now. And Alex, he's on the attempt to save that operator. Nothing more, nothing less.
With a minute to have to hide for as well, Hukars have really got they've got the pack out and they've got it sent. Alex will be tagged by that tripwire, however, no one's going to be there to capitalize off of it.
H2O picked this map, and it really, really makes me wonder why they did that, because they're the only one of the 2 that have showed their cards on this map already this season. Right? Last week played against Kova, and they also lost. So they did show a lot of their weaknesses, which Hukars could have anti-stratted and let the map float as well. So A lot of questions go in my mind. I really hope they are able to get a couple of rounds in now, so they also have the opportunity to show what they prepared on that attacking side.
No, you're absolutely right. And at H2 now, things are starting to get a little bit worrisome for H2O. They need just 1 or 2 more rounds to get them a little bit closer, just to give them a chance. Because if you only have kind of 2-3 rounds, when you go into your pistol round, it becomes a must-win round. Otherwise, you end up having to play a perfect half, something which even the best teams in the world will struggle to do. For H2O, there is a bite, sure, but unfortunately there is the odd Guardian on Alex. It's not quite as healthy as it could be, and they're now a player down.
Oh. Seems that Hookahs have done it again. David is getting it. He's feeling comfortable, right? We've seen him multiple positions, pushing in towards Arcade, pushing out A main, constantly putting pressure on H2O to feel uncomfortable in getting these aggressive positions, to assist sort of Ria to aggress in, put Hattie in, fake Ananas in a position to throw in those flashes to get the cross. It's hard. And it seems without a Sage to put a wall down and give them extra corners to work with, more angles to feel comfortable in. Not really gain too much. Okay, Hookahs this time around are giving them the space. Realize, okay, we're already having the numbers advantage is enough. Let them use utility. Let them use these ultimates.
Oh!
David, it's so smart!
Okay. Jaffa has to go huge. It's a perfect Rolling Thunder, but Mishu! He converts it!
He's completely stunned up. He was completely in the edge, jumping due to the ground shaking beneath him, but he's still able to find 2 heads.
Oh no.
Incredible.
That was Hookahs' round to lose, and they just turn it straight on its head there. H2O, there couldn't have been a better setup. Yeah, you're a player down, but you get the spike down. You're even able to dig in a little bit here. But no, David, what a play with that off. Alex just gets picked off, and then for Mishu to follow it up with, let's be honest, some frankly disgusting kills. H2O now really on the back foot here. Remember, this is their map pick path loss. They want to be here. And you look at the ult management, with hardly any ults to throw at the final round of this half over on Hookahs. They've already got a Rolling Thunder readily available.
H2O are probably asking for takebacks like you did in the pre-game. When you on your predictions. Definitely asking for takebacks at this point. But no takebacks allowed. Okay, mistakes though seem to be permitted on the Hookahs side. Can't be flawless for too long, but they may be amping up the pressure to deny the plant. Rolling Thunder, they can ask into the open, manages to get out of dodge, but Akimbo is the person that's been able to cross forwards. Wall as well, keeping Alex at bay, meaning it's still fairly equal endeavor, unless Fake and Anas can do something about it, which he has. B-side again under their control, but Akimbo has routed all the way around the world. And they may have an opportunity. Oh, they're wary of it. Oh, that's one. But with the 2 players simultaneously peeking through from main, Akimbo couldn't do all that much. So but H2O at least close the half with a 3rd round.
It's something, right? It's something to work with, and it means now you lose your pistol round, you're going to lose the eco round afterwards. At least you're not out at that point. So there is still room to breathe, but it's going to be a pretty sharp breath because Hookahs have some serious momentum with them right now. Akimbo having such a strong map right now over on that raise, currently going 16-7. I do fear for Icebox now, seeing how aggressive Hookahs are being, even on their defense.
I'm starting to get worried for H2O. Very much so. I mean, I think it would have been... 9-3 isn't that bad. We're talking about Fracture here, defense-sided, if played correctly, of course, but that's the old meta talking. This is that it really is the old meta talking. So, you can really expect Hookahs to have a lot of attacking plans in their bag. Thankfully for H2O, they've got plenty of players in this direction. Paint Shell's finding the damage. Alex, amidst the smoke, finds a shorty kill, but Mishu comes online, and so does David. How did that round circulate like that?
I think Akimbo threw a nuke. That was incredible, the amount of damage from those paint shells, and... well, H2O, it's on Hattie. Walled off now. Has to give an audio cue to fight in a 1 versus 3.
Hattie. Big mission ahead of him if he wants to keep H2O alive, not only in this round, but the game as a whole. This pistol has just placed Hookahs on the highway to victory.
It's a highway to victory. For H2O, it's a highway to hell, as they find themselves with a... do we see a second round force spy? I mean, the reality is, Pavlos, second round force spies just haven't worked. If there ever was a time for it to change, I guess now would be it, but Hookahs have really just made fools of us all.
Yeah, if they don't go for the force buy, they're potentially looking at an 11-3, which, come on, that's not going to happen soon. So we are seeing it. We are indeed seeing the investment come through from the water.
I like it. I mean, it's good that we're seeing an investment that gives them a chance to actually fight for this control of A main, but Hookahs, they can just drain the utility because there won't be much.
Exactly. Riyadh forced out of his corner. Akimbo realized too far out of his depth. Fake Ananas also taking so much damage. Both Fake Ananas and Riyadh are so darn low right now.
Fake Ananas dropping the Spectre to the higher HP player. H2O have read this beautifully. They know full well what Hookahs are doing, but just because you know it's happening, does that necessarily mean you can stop it? H2O are going to try just that, though. Hookahs, they're actually commit to the fake now, and this is where the IGLs, their masterminds, the degrees in Valorant, the theses on Fracture are coming into play now. Fast rotation from Riyadh, thankfully, due to Neon. He's going to be there to meet them, but only to greet them, not to stop them.
Give Jaff a raise, because I think he's just bamboozled the entirety of H2O. Of course. Ball allowing them to cross forwards onto the side. It's going to be hotly contested. Riyadh low, but still able to pull his shots. Masto deleting them. Sunshine wants a piece of this pie. He can smell it from a mile away. It's tasty, yummy, but Jaff will be contending. If he finds a couple more heads, this could be doable. Finds a Spectre. Oh, that's another. Can it be done? Blastfuck keeping him at bay, but the spike is planted for Akimbo. Sky Smoke will be denying that spray down. Jaff looking across forwards. Akimbo with a reload, looking for the positioning. Akimbo, though, is damn more quick than Jaff is. And Hookahs on 11, extending that lead further.
What it also means, though, is that H2O now have to take a knee. They have to drop to an eco. They have to forego map points over to Hookahs here. And, I mean, credit where credit's due to H2O. They trade beautifully, and Jaff had a little flash of stardom here. But just because it glitters Pavlos doesn't mean it's gold. And in that final 1v1 against Akimbo, he's able to convert it, bring Hookahs that 11th. For H2O now, this is where they go for another force buy, which I don't know if I agree with.
Fault line damaged. Stand up is substantially H2O know that the only way to find your way back in here is by being proactive. Yeah. And honestly, there are not many tactics allowed, really, considering their weaponry, but they have to go with whatever they can before it gets too late. But Hookah's finding a bar in sight, and that's the important part. Yeah. And it's going to be the exact same post-plant scenario as it was a previous.
What to highlight is there's only a single flash, very limited utility on H2O right now to retake this.
That's going to be rough. Investment in weapons, not as many flashes or utility to work this through. Riyadh, with a wall that he had, will no longer be alive to help his team get on site. Jaff also has to fall. Fault line and flash drive is all they have. And the fragment, obviously. Closing out one of these corners. Close by. Mishu misses the shots, but he's given a second opportunity. Quickly traded. Sunshine falls, but it's still a 2-on-1 on that final endeavor. Hookahs stand on top, elevated, looking down on H2O and saying, you thought this was a rivalry? No, this is a one-team show.
It absolutely is. Hookahs currently boasting their hero of Akimbo on 18 kills, 18-8 Pavlos. And I mean, let's be honest, Akimbo is having a terrific game. Over on H2O, it's the third round in a row now where they've had to force guns, and what it means is that their utility is lacking. When you do have limited utility, yes, going for a push into a position to try and beat your opponents is a great idea, but you need to be vigilant of the fact that you will have no utility for a retake there, and the rotations of H2O just weren't quick enough.
Oh, Alex, sneaky position. Has to take that take back card, get out of jail free card. That's how I like to call the rendezvous. But a standstill. A head-to-head. A clear no man's land in the middle. when no one wants to cross, but a sideline is taken. A different front is being approached from. And it's Alex that is taking care of that one. Solo defender, Mishu, close by. Faker and Ass in trouble. Fragment, though, could do a lot of damage there, and it does. Sunshine eliminated, and they're keeping things close. Rhea close by, draws out the Spectre and gets it done. David, all by himself. But they know where he is. The spike now being planted, and it's Hattie and Rhea desperately trying to keep their team in the game, but this could be where it all ends if David can make it work. But he won't be able to. A Vandal recovered by Riyadh will be what allows H2O to still hold on to this game.
A little dance from Riyadh there as well above the spike to celebrate the 4th round for H2O. And for Hookahs now, let's be honest, Pavlos, they have room to play with. They can drop to an eco here, go for an even better buy. I don't think they even have to. Maybe go for a fast play, experiment a bit, because there is a huge safety net for Hookahs right now. And I don't see H2O breaking that anytime soon. In terms of ult management as well, kind of over on H2O, yes, they have an extra ult available, but it's only 2 away from Sunshine's Rolling Thunder. They have their kind of core ults ready on Hookahs for an execution. So this, even with pistols, they may use these ults spontaneously to garner a little bit of an advantage here or there, which is really going to start to stack up.
Oh, fast play. Out towards the A-site, going for a pincer maneuver, but that might be costly because now they've left the A-site opened up. Sky Smokes forming a snake, allowing Hookahs to just waltz in. War will be available there. Alex getting one. Orbital Strike need to get out of there quickly onto the safety of the site. Orbital Strike finding 1 kill, but now they may be in trouble. Aftershock left to the right side of things. Sunshine can't be comfortable to get that spike down. Finally, it now may go down, but this Wall is being tempted. Fragment Drive doing a lot of damage onto the back side of things. Faker and that's still finding damage. Hookahs not finding an easy endeavor here onto the site. Quickly punished. And Mishu, even though he's got a resurrection, he's got no teammate nearby to go for a safe rev. Mishu, they know where he is. Flash coming through. Needs tremendous headshots to make this happen, but it's a shorty to put him to his grave. And it's H2O to keep that line of rounds going, but they need to keep it going for a lot more.
Pavlos, I was fully expecting to see a knife kill there. I would have made my day. Hookahs currently 12-5 up. H2O finding their 2nd round on the bounce now. Looking like they might be able to come back into this. Maybe not to win, but at least make it a bit closer. To keep a bit of momentum, to salvage some ego for when you then have to move to Icebox, which is a map of aiming. And let's be honest, if H2O can match Hookahs at aim, then we are going to have a very close map indeed. In terms of ult management, though, H2O did commit a lot to that round, both a Tour de Force, a Rolling Thunder, and this is against Hookahs now, who have everything available.
Oh no, Akimbo just going to get an orb and allow Hookahs to have 5 ultimates to work with.
Yep.
Good luck, observers.
Alex, hoping to get an opening here.
Oh, not able to.
That's a clean shot.
So it's the opening for Mishu. No ultimate expended either at that, which makes this even easier. Harry has to fall. Not like this. Not like this.
They don't even need the ults.
They don't need them. At all. No one has died. No resurrection required. Oh, here comes a Rolling Thunder. They've got it. Might as well go for it. Going in. This just isn't fair.
No one is coming through spawn. It ain't happening.
And if they do, they'll come in a little bit too late. Riyadh desperately looking to get in quicker. Resurrection comes in to keep all 5 alive by the end of that round, but that doesn't even matter. It's the scoreline that matters, and it's a 13-5 end for Hookahs on what was H2O's map pick.
No, you're absolutely right. They do very damn well considering it isn't their map pick, able to go 13-5. And more importantly, they're able to get that momentum when they move to their map pick of Icebox. H2O had the idea there with Neon, and that was to go very aggressive, to give no respect to their opponents. The issue is, didn't quite work here, and I imagine the postgame will be able to analyze that a little bit more.
Very interesting one, right? I think Hookahs had control throughout it. The attacking side looked unstoppable, and it seems H2O didn't really have too many answers on their own attack, right? They couldn't quite gain the space. Hookahs constantly having the right read on them, and constantly being able to juggle positioning that H2O could not account for. I really like the way they played around it. H2O, I'm afraid, really didn't have any answers.
No, you're absolutely right. For me, I was pretty damn impressed by Akimbo. I think the first half for Akimbo was what was able to give Hookahs that much momentum. Granted, from almost every member of Hookahs, they had a good round. You know, we saw Master doing some incredible crossfires with Sunshine. We saw David doing incredible with any form of sniper. I would be very surprised now if H2O find the missing ingredient and make Icebox look one-sided. I think even if H2O do well, this will be a close second map.
To be fair, they've done that before in a best of 3, right? They managed to get a 13-1 on the second map.
That's true.
Even if they lose the entirety of the series. So there are still avenues for H2O to take and potentially get the dub by the end of the day. It's the first map of potentially 3, but let's have a look at the stats here. Mast obviously had big impact. I don't think you can really pinpoint a single player from Hookahs that just over-delivered. I think it was an entire team effort, like Fracture has to be, really. Perfect rotations, David, of course, catching multiple kills at the start of rounds, and Mast was just an excellent anchor.
He was incredible, and something I really liked was how Mast was able to play off Sunshine. With the quick rotation coming from Sunshine, it meant that every time Mast was in a position, Sunshine was there to crossfire with him. And that little kind of tag team duo really did some work onto H2O the second they got anywhere near that B site. Really strong stuff, and of course, that Breach and Brimstone combo is just scary in general.
It really is. Usually you kind of see Breach paired up with Jet. That's kind of what you really like, but it's a scary factor that it provides. Also, I love it paired up with Raze, right? Do a photo line, throw in the paint shells, is as simple as it comes. Because that combo used to very much exist when it came to Asher, for example. It can even paired up with a slow up, right? Make it even more difficult for them to kind of escape from that death rocket, like you called it earlier. So, yeah, I really like the way Hookahs, the idea they have around the game, the way they want to approach it, looking strong, and also showing us it wasn't an alliance that was weak last week either. It was Hookahs that are just on a different level to what we are used to seeing them be in. So, Kramer, before we take things to a break, what can you say in just a sentence to prepare us for the next map?
Good luck with Akimbo. There you go. Because if he's feeling it, Icebox is going to be rough.
Fair enough. Well, Icebox is going to be the second map in this series. Fracture, unfortunately, won't go to the side of H2O. It's Hookahs to snatch that off them. We'll be seeing you right after the short break, so don't go anywhere.
Spike down A. One enemy remaining. Last player standing.
My name is Mast, I'm the IGL for Hookahs.
My name is Davut, I play for Hookahs and I'm the duelist/intrafagger.
Our performance in Split 1 wasn't the best. We definitely learned a lot and we're going to take that experience with us and hopefully get our revenge on all the teams.
I think we played well, but we didn't perform as good as we should have, and we lost some games we shouldn't and played closer in matches we won, like the H2O one for example. But like overall I think it went okay, but it didn't go the way we wanted it to go, so definitely things to improve on.
Well, the stuff that we changed is we changed a player on our team. We changed Yalo to Sunshine, which has helped our team a lot. It's a greater fit, and the synergy is there, and everyone just has a good time. We also improved a lot on strats, and just the fundamentals of our gameplay has changed a lot.
We tried to go back to the basics, like try stuff, like swap around roles and stuff like that, and see like if we had better fits that could like play the different roles. So like just going back to the basics and strats.
Sunshine brings like strats, he's really wise and he frags out, so he brings a lot to the table in the team. Our goals for Split 2 is just to get revenge on all the teams. Last Split was not the greatest and we're definitely here to win, but first of all we want our revenge. I
would say get to playoffs. That's my personal goal and probably also the one for the team.
The team we're looking to get revenge against is Human Tripwires. That was not fun losing to, so I'm definitely looking to get my revenge against them.
Probably human tripwires because we used to play with Ratsky before, so like I think that would be the one.
The players to look out on the team is just everyone. I think we all are mechanical gifted.
Everyone on the team is very mechanically gifted and very like wise, in-game wise and like game sense and stuff. Everyone has their roles and does them very well.
We're clever and we're gonna play a lot together, so just look for the team and you'll definitely see some highlights.
I'm so tired of you always playing